Alright, what's going on there, guys? Welcome back to NFL News. Today, my name is Darren. So, the NFL draft wrapped up yesterday, and I can say confidently that all 32 teams got better, but that doesn't necessarily mean they had good drafts. So, in today's video, I will be ranking all 32 teams' drafts on a kind of like a tier list basis, so you can see S, A, B, C, and D. So this is kind of like the first time I'm doing one of these kinds of videos. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button and comment down below if you want me to do more of these. YouTube kind of just removed like a bunch of inactive subscribers from my channel, so that kind of shot my confidence. Like, I know it's kind of like more realistic, but still it was nice to see a higher number at the subscriber count. So make sure you subscribe to this video, or not just video, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, maybe I will end up doing more of these, but yeah, let's get started. First off, we're going to have the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm going to put them in the C ranking. Now, as much as I love Zaven Collins, I did not agree with that pick. I thought they should have went corner in the first round. Don't know why they went Rondale Moore in the second round. Didn't really think they needed wide receiver. I thought corner, and not even corner, just secondary and offensive line in general were their main needs. They didn't get a single offensive lineman. They got a pretty athletic corner, Marco Wilson, even though he throws shoes a lot. I do like Tay Gowan out of UCF. You got a nice edge rusher. Duke, I do not want to pronounce his name, but Victor Demukije, that's how I'm going to pronounce it. And then they got a center in the 7th round. I felt like they definitely didn't have their priorities in order. Caleb Farley was on the board in the first round, and even if you didn't like him, still Greg Newsome there. Eric Stokes was their first round corner. I felt like they had to address their secondary more, but they didn't really address the offensive line either. So for those reasons, I'm putting them in the C ranking. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm going to put them in the A ranking. I thought they had a very good draft. Kyle Pitts will be great there. They're clearly trying to win now with Matt Ryan as opposed to rebuilding for a future quarterback. You can tell because they didn't draft a quarterback. I love the Richie Grant pick. Surprised he actually went over Trayvon Merrick, but Richie Grant's still a very solid safety. They got Jalen Mayfield to help address the offensive line, which that's honestly kind of a steal. Mayfield was projected to be a first-round pick on some people's mock drafts. He's also had second-round talent. So the fact that they got him in the 3rd round was pretty good. They got a couple of corners, and Darren Hall and Avery Williams to help beef up that secondary. That defense has just been terrible recently. Got some offensive line depth and got some defensive line depth. Thought those were some nice moves also because, you know, like I said, that defense has been terrible. But like I said in my biggest needs video, I thought they needed a safety. They went out and got one in Richie Grant. So I thought they had a very solid draft. I thought they had their priorities in order. And not only that, they got very solid players at the positions that they were picking at. Ravens are next, and I'm going to put them in the B ranking. Now, I said that they didn't need an elite receiver. They went out and got one. I thought that was kind of a waste of a first-round pick. I thought that edge and offensive line were a more important need. They ended up getting edge with Jason Oweh, who's actually now going by Odafe Oweh. I think that's how I pronounce it. They ended up getting Ben Cleveland in the 3rd round. I felt like they should have went, guard or offensive line with that 27th overall pick. I love Tylan Wallace. I loved him since the beginning of the season. I saw him play, and I knew he was going to be great. So hopefully that he can find in some playing time there. Shaun Wade, maybe he can be a good corner. He was absolute burnt toast on the outside this year, but if they play him in the slot, maybe he can be still of a pick. Got some edge depth. Got Ben Mason, a tight end out of Michigan, and then they also got Brandon Stevens, a corner out of SMU. So they actually got 2 corners, so I feel like that's good, trying to get some depth there. Maybe Shaun Wade becomes a starter, depending on how he plays in the slot. But a solid draft by the Ravens. Once again, I do not like the Rashad Bateman pick. I think he's a great player. Don't think the scheme fit is there. But yeah, I think the Ravens had a solid draft, so I'm going to put them in the B tier. Bills are next, and they will be joining the Ravens in the B tier. I was a little surprised they went edge back-to-back, but at the same time, they have a very solid roster. Rousseau is kind of a developmental player. He's pretty raw. He's extremely athletic, though. That's why a lot of people liked him in the 1st round. And then they got Carlos Basham Jr., who was I thought was a 3-4 defensive end, but while I'm looking at, they're listing him as an edge. Got some offensive line depth. That's always good to see. Got Marquez Stevenson out of Houston. Got a safety, and then they got Rakai Wildgoose out of Wisconsin, which is, in my opinion, the best name in the draft. I feel like they probably could have gotten corner a little earlier, but hey, who knows? Maybe Wildgoose ends up playing well in camp, gets a starter role. But if they got corner earlier, I probably would have put them in the A tier, but since they didn't, they will go and join the Ravens in the B tier. And we will have our first S tier ranking, as the Panthers will go in S tier. Just so you know, I'm not going to rank them individually in the tiers. It's just like, if they're in the tier, that's how I thought the draft went. It's not like the Ravens had a better draft than the Bills. I'm just doing this in alphabetical order based off city name. But yeah, the Panthers had an amazing draft. Got an absolute dog in J.C. Horn. Got a great receiver in Terrace Marshall. Reunite him with Joe Brady. They got a really good offensive tackle in Brady Christensen. They got a tight end who can probably become a starter in Tommy Tremble. Seems like Notre Dame is producing some nice big men. Chuba Hubbard is a great second running back. And then they got a couple other depth players. They got some depth at the defensive line. I thought Shi Smith will be some nice wide receiver depth. Keith Taylor to go along with the corner position. You know, they had a lot of solid corner 2 options on their roster, but I feel like getting J.C. Horn really solidified the corner 1 position for them, especially after they lost James Bradbury a couple of off seasons ago. So yeah, Panthers had a fantastic draft. Really good draft for the first year GM in Scott Fitterer. Chicago Bears are next, and I know a lot of people are saying they had the best draft. I'm actually going to put them in the A tier. They had a very good draft. If you know me, you know I'm not as high on Justin Fields as others. Also, they trade up for him. Tevin Jenkins and Larry Borum are good offensive line depth. They really didn't address the secondary until the 6th round, and they only got 1 person at corner, Thomas Graham Jr. out of Oregon. But yeah, I'm not as big on Justin Fields as other people are, so that partially goes into this. And them also not getting a corner until the 6th round also goes into them being in the A tier. But aside from that, it was a very good draft. Also got Daz Newsome out of North Carolina. And got Khalil Herbert and Kyrus Tonga, defensive lineman out of BYU. But yeah, still a very nice draft for the Bears. And maybe that saves Matt Nagy's and Ryan Pace's job. Bengals are next, and they will be going in the B tier. So they got Jamar Chase. They reunited him with Joe Burrow. I did not think that was the best move. I thought they had to get Penei Sewell, one of the best offensive line prospects that in a while, maybe that in my lifetime. They then got Jackson Carman in the 2nd round. I just felt like that was too little too late. Don't know why they got 2 edge pieces when they already have Carl Lawson and Trey Hendrickson. Don't know why they felt to get back-to-back edge pieces. Got Trey Hill, center out of Georgia, in the 6th round. They actually got 3 edge rushers. I don't know why they focus so much on edge, but I felt like they definitely could have done something like you get Penei Sewell, and then you still get Joe Burrow, an LSU receiver, and Terrace Marshall. Like, I didn't understand that move. That's really the main fact that puts them into B. They got a very good kicker, though, so props to them for getting the best kicker in college football. But, yeah, I just not think this was a very solid draft from the Bengals, but Jamar Chase is an absolute stud, and he did get Joe Burrow some protection, so that's why it's going in the B tier. So I originally had Cleveland in A tier, but I'm actually going to bump them up to the S tier. I thought Andrew Berry had a fantastic draft. They got Greg Newsome, who I said corner was their biggest need going to the draft. I feel like they really need to get someone on the other side of Denzel Ward. They did that. They then got Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, an absolute steal in the 2nd round. He has some injury issues, but I feel like he can be healthy enough, and he will be an absolute asset to the Browns. Anthony Schwartz, an absolute burner of a wide receiver. He was a great pick. Got some offensive line depth, got some more linebacker depth, got a defensive lineman, a safety, and a running back in there, but this was just a fantastic draft. Those first 3 picks were picture perfect for the Browns. I thought this was a great draft. Andrew Berry is really building something up there. And I remember Rich Eisen saying this a lot during the draft. They're a playoff team with a 3rd place schedule, so you can expect the Browns to be really, really good this year, and this draft just helps that. Cowboys up next. I'm going to put them in the A tier. Classic Cowboys. They somehow got the players, like 2 players with the worst personalities in the draft. Michael Parsons, a hazer. He explicitly he fingers buttholes to haze people. He's not a good person, but he's a hell of a linebacker. And then Kelvin Joseph is a absolute stud corner, but he kinda is a child and very immature and has a lot of personality issues. But if you can put those aside, those 2 players are absolutely great. And they really did address the defense. They got Osa Odin. I don't even want to pronounce this. Osa Odigizua out, UCLA. I actually thought the trade with the Eagles was nice. They got a third-round pick. They made the Giants worse, even though actually I'll talk about the Giants later. But the Giants didn't get Devonta Smith, and then Cowboys kind of got a free third-round pick in return, and they probably still would have taken Parsons at 10 since both the corners were off the board. Got Chauncey Golston out of Iowa's edge help. Got some more corner help in Nashawn Wright. Jabril Cox in the 4th round I thought was a great pick. They really solidified their defense with this draft. Defensive line still might be up in the air for them. Probably could have addressed that a little bit more. I know they got an edge rusher and a defensive lineman. Hopefully they can help them a lot. But this was a really solid draft by Jerry Jones. Just a lot of great picks. I love the Kelvin Joseph pick. I love the Jabril Cox pick. And I actually really like the trade back with Philadelphia. I thought this was a great draft. Next up is Denver, and they are going to be going in the A tier. This probably could have been S tier if they didn't pick Patrick Surtain in the 1st round. It was pretty interesting considering they signed Ronald Darby and Fuller. Bryce Callahan is already one of the better slot corners in the game, so it's pretty surprising that they end up going Surtain. Maybe they don't have a long-term future, or they don't see a long-term future in Fuller. I don't know, but Surtain is still a stud corner. I love the trade for Javonte Williams. He's definitely a starting running back in this league. Quinn Miners is a great offensive line piece. Baron Browning helps out their linebacking core, which they needed. They got a couple of great safeties, and Caden Stearns and Jamar Johnson, which is surprising since they signed Justin Simmons to a long-term deal finally. Had he kept on playing on the franchise tag, this move would make a lot more sense, but maybe they start running some 3 safety sets. They still got Kareem Jackson over in Denver, who obviously isn't going to be there for very long. So either Stearns or Johnson will definitely replace Jackson eventually. I feel like they definitely could have addressed edge rushers sooner. They got a couple of 7th round edge rushers. My thing is, it's not easy to replace Hall of Fame players. When you have someone like Von Miller, who's not going to be on the team for much longer, I feel like you need to get a good replacement for him very soon. They thought getting 2 7th round edge rushers would be enough. Maybe if they got an edge rusher in the earlier rounds, this would be an S tier draft. But they didn't. But this was still a very good draft by the first-year GM George Patton, and I'm going to put it in the A tier. Detroit will be going in the B tier. They got Penei Sewell. I agree with that pick. Although I might have gone wide receiver there, Penei Sewell was definitely the best player on the board. It's really hard to pass up on him. Levi Onwuzurike. I suck at pronouncing names, so I'm sorry. Levi Onwuzurike, defensive lineman out of Washington. I thought that was a great pick. And they also got Aleem McNeil. They're definitely getting players that fit the Dan Campbell culture of biting kneecaps off. Efetu Melifonwu, I thought that was a great pick. And Amon-Ra St. Brown was an absolute steal in the 4th round. They really needed a wide receiver, and they got actually a really good wide receiver, a bargain pick in the 4th round. So I thought that was a really great pick for Detroit. But yeah, it is a B tier draft, just mainly because of the talent level. Well, I'm not exactly sure how it will pan out. They had a lot of holes. I felt they filled a good bit of them, but B tier I feel like is appropriate for their draft. And their rivals, Green Bay, will be joining them in the B tier. I actually do not think this was as bad of a draft as a lot of people else are thinking. I really did think they needed a corner. Eric Stokes is a great corner. Kevin King is much better off in the slot, which is where he probably will be going. And Eric Stokes will will go on the outside to complement Jair Alexander. They needed a center. Corey Linsley left in free agency. They need to get a center. Josh Myers is a great pick there. They did go wide receiver in Amari Rodgers. I just felt like maybe if they swapped corner wide receiver, maybe they went wide receiver 1st round, corner 3rd round, then it would be a better draft. But I'm going to keep it at B tier now. It's still a very good draft in my opinion. Royce Newman and Cole Van Lanen were some nice tackle pieces they got. Got some corner depth and Shamar Jean-Charles out of App State. And just the defensive line in the linebacking position. So I do feel like this was a good draft. Is it going to be good enough to appease Aaron Rodgers and keep him in Green Bay? Maybe not, but we will see. But yeah, I really don't think this is as bad of a draft as a lot of people are saying it is. So Green Bay, you get a B or 2 ranking for your draft. So Houston, I'm going to be putting in the C tier. It's hard to have a good draft when you only have 5 picks. Didn't really understand the Davis Mills pick. You already have Tyrod Taylor there in case Watson doesn't pan out. I don't think Davis Mills can be a long-term option just yet, especially in the garbage situation Houston is currently in. I did like the Brevin Jordan pick. I thought Nico Collins was an okay pick. But yeah, their defense was just a mess. I feel like this draft needed to be defensive heavy. I don't know. Houston is just in a terrible position right now. I don't really think this draft helped. So yeah, and also plus they only have 5 picks thanks to Bill O'Brien being a mastermind general manager. But yeah, Houston I'm just going to put in C tier just because it's kind of hard to have a good draft when you only have 5 picks and you have a lot of holes like they do. Colts I'm going to be putting in the B tier. Didn't really understand why you went edge back-to-back in the first and second rounds. I feel like you definitely should have gotten a replacement for Anthony Costanzo in one of those 2 rounds. They also ended up getting a tight end. Didn't really understand that either. Sam Ehlinger, I feel like can be a nice backup quarterback. I love calling him right-handed Tim Tebow because that is what he is. They got Sean Davis, who's a safety out of Florida. And then Will Fries and Michael Strachan. That's how I want to say that name. But I don't know. I feel like if they definitely should have addressed the offensive line a little bit more. Kwity Paye was definitely a steal at 21, though. That was a great pick. Probably best player available, if you ask me. I know JOK was still on the board, but they don't really need him. So automatically went to Kwity Paye and then Deo Odingbo. Like I said, I did not really prep for announcing these names, but I thought this was a good draft. I really felt like they needed to address the offensive line in this draft, but they did not. But I feel like it's still worthy of a B tier ranking. Jacksonville, I'm going to be putting in the A tier. This definitely would have been an S tier draft if they did not draft ETN at 25. Don't really get that. You have a 1,000-yard rusher in James Robinson. Maybe you kind of want to go with that elusive back, power back combo. That makes sense. And, you know, you want to get Trevor, a nice friend from his college, but still. But obviously, Trevor Lawrence, great pick. Tyson Campbell, I thought was a good pick. Walker Little, they definitely need tackle help. They needed safety help. They got Andre Sisco to help bulk up that defensive line, and Tufele and Jordan Smith. Luke Farrell could probably be the starting tight end on that team soon enough. But I thought this was a really solid draft. Had they not gone ETN, this definitely would be an S tier, but they addressed a lot of their holes. They got the quarterback of the future. They got a couple of weapons for him. They got a little bit of protection, and they got some help in the secondary. Great draft. I absolutely love it. Just missed out on being S tier. Kansas City, I'm going to be putting in B tier. I thought Creed Humphrey was an absolute steal at number 63 in the second round. Nick Bolton, I thought that was a good pickup for them. Got some edge help. I probably would have gotten a corner in this draft had they done that. Probably would have bumped them up to an A tier. Secondary is exactly one of the best ones in the NFL. It's still good, but corner I feel like they still need a little bit of help with. But nevertheless, Nick Bolton was a good pick. Creed Humphrey was a great pick. Josiah Kandoa is a good edge rusher out of Florida. Don't really understand why they got a tight end. And I understand depth for Travis Kelce, but like I said, really felt like they needed a corner. But they this offseason, the Chiefs really were just able to rebuild that offensive line, and they did an incredible job doing it. But yeah, Chiefs going to B tier. Had they gotten a corner, probably would have been A tier. Raiders, I'm going to put in C tier. Now, this was weird. They took a second-round player in the first round and then a first-round player in the second round, so you can kind of flip-flop them. But Alex Leatherwood in the first round was a really surprising pick, especially considering some of the other offensive linemen that are still on the board, especially considering Christian Darrisaw was still on the board, and they decided to go with Alex Leatherwood. Did not understand that at all. Trayvon Merrick is an absolute stud at safety, though. I don't know why he drafted him, along with Devon Diablo and Tyree Gillespie. Didn't know why he really needed 3 safeties. Definitely could have addressed linebacker in this draft. Don't know why they didn't. Got some nice edge depth in Malcolm Kuntz. But yeah, just it was an interesting draft. Don't really know why they took 3 safeties, but they did get a couple of good safeties. Don't know why they took Alex Leatherwood over Christian Darrisaw. That made no sense to me. But yeah, this is going to be a C-tier draft just for those reasons. It's an interesting draft. Definitely could have been better, though. Chargers will be going in the A tier. I thought this was a great draft. Rashawn Slater, absolute steal at 13. He was definitely a top 10 player in the draft. Sante Samuel is going to be a great corner in the league. Probably will play slot corner. I love the Josh Palmer pick. Get Herbert another weapon. And then he also got Trey McKitty, who I thought was a pretty good tight end in this draft. That's going to be your Hunter Henry replacement. Got some edge help in Chris Rump second. And then you got some more protection. Got a running back, got a corner, and got another linebacker. I thought this was a great draft by not Brandon Bean. I forget, Tom Telesco, that's who their GM is. But yeah, they got a great tackle, they got a great corner, got a good wide receiver, got a very good tight end. That's a very solid draft. Thought he did a great job there. I'm sure Herbert will be happy with his new weapons and his new protection. But yeah, this was just a great draft by the Chargers. Borderline S tier. I'm going to be keeping it at A tier for right now, though. And staying in the City of Angels, the Rams will be going in the B tier. Now, probably would have been A tier had they gotten a safety to replace John Johnson III. They didn't, though. They decided to go Tutu Atwell with their first pick in the second round. I mean, it didn't really make sense. I mean, you are kind of assembling a track team, but even still, you got Van Jefferson last year. Didn't really think you needed another wide receiver, especially since you drafted, especially since you signed Deshaun Jackson also this offseason. You also got another wide receiver in Jacob Harris in the 4th round. Even though I love my UCF players, didn't really feel the need for that. Got a nice linebacker in Ernest Jones, and Bobby Brown III is going to be a good defensive lineman. Robert Rochelle out of Central Arkansas. I love seeing a player drafted from the FCS. Went in the 4th round. But yeah, they really didn't have a lot of holes on their team, so they kind of had a lot of leeway with who they wanted to draft. I really felt like their only big hole was safety since they lost John Johnson III. Didn't get a replacement for him, though, so that's why it's going in the B tier. Miami is going to go in the A tier. Now, they got a great wide receiver in Jalen Waddle. Definitely understand why they took him, just with the fit with Tua. And they do need a long-term wide receiver. Will Fuller is only on a 1-year deal. So want to surround Tua with a lot of weapons as possible. But I really did like that pick. Jalen Phillips, he has like top 10, top 5 talent. We just have to see if he stays healthy. That's his big question with him. Already retired from football once, has had multiple concussions, has been hit by a car a couple of times. But if he can stay healthy, he will be an absolute force on that defensive line. I like the Javon Holland pick out of Oregon. Liam Eichenberg is a great pick at 42 for them also. Got some nice tight end depth with Hunter Long out of Boston College. And then he didn't pick again until the 7th round, where they got an offensive tackle, Larnell Coleman, and a running back in Jared Dokes. But I thought this was a great draft. And if Jalen Phillips can stay healthy, it will be a fantastic draft. But you got to a weapon, you got some help on defense, and you got some help on the offensive line. What else more could you ask for? Minnesota is going to be going in the B tier. I feel like they definitely could have addressed the defense a little bit more. Christian Darrisaw, you traded back and you still got a top 3 offensive lineman in the draft. Love that move. Kellen Mond, I feel like can actually be a pretty nice quarterback in this league. I feel like he can definitely be a successor to Kirk Cousins. Travis Surratt was a nice pick in the 3rd round, and then Wyatt Davis in the 3rd round also. It was actually a really solid 3rd round there, and they had another pick in the 3rd round, Patrick Jones. Definitely would have tried to address the secondary a little bit more in the draft, but that's fine. I think what they did was good. But yeah, it was a B tier draft. Borderline A tier, I'd say. But I definitely think it was a good draft, and that Christian Darrisaw move was just great. I absolutely love it. New England is next, and they will be our 3rd S tier draft. Now, I'm not putting it in S tier because I think Mac Jones is better than Justin Fields. I'm putting it in S tier because they were able to be patient and still got a quarterback that can probably fit their system. That's why I like it. They upgraded the defensive line and getting Christian Barmore and Rodney Perkins to add along with Matthew Judon and a couple other pieces they already had there. Ramondre Stevenson is their long overdue LeGarrette Blount replacement. I really like him. I thought he was a great running back at Oklahoma. And they also got Cameron McGrone, who I think is a good linebacker, Joshua Bledsoe, William Sherman, and Trey Nixon. But yeah, the S tier is mainly because they were able to be patient. They didn't have to give up any draft picks, and they still got a future quarterback. I feel like Mac Jones, after a year or two staying on the bench, can probably be a good quarterback in this league, especially with Bill Belichick offense, just relying on short developing routes and being able to check the ball down. Nothing too complex there. I feel like that's something that Jones can definitely figure out, especially if he's able to sit behind Cam for a year or two. But yeah, this was just a fantastic draft. I absolutely loved it. Saints are next. They're going to be going in the B tier. Now, Peyton Turner was actually an interesting pick in the 1st round. I heard a lot of GMs, I think it was either Rap Sheet or Schefter, said that a lot of GMs were like him just because he's smart with football and he could end up sneaking into the 1st round. He did. Pete Warner is, I feel like, going to be some good linebacker depth. I probably would have went with some edge depth also. Cam Jordan is getting a little bit older. They did get a corner. I feel like they definitely needed safety. Had they gotten a safety, they probably would have gone into the A tier. Ian Book took a quarterback. I mean, hey, keep him on the bench. But I feel like James will win the starting job. Excuse me. And then if you have Book, he can be a decent backup in the league. That allows you to use Taysom Hill more as kind of like that gadget player he is, because then if James gets hurt as a starter, you can still go to Book as the backup while still having Hill as that gadget player. You don't have to sacrifice Hill being a gadget player, put him at quarterback. Man, I did think it was a solid draft. Had they gone safety, definitely would have been A tier, but they did not. So leave them in the B tier for now. Now, this might be a little bit of a controversial opinion, but the Giants, in my opinion, I think they had the best draft, mainly because of the trade move with Chicago. You traded back, you got a couple of mid-round picks and in next year's first, and you still get a top 5 receiver in the draft. Outstanding move by Dave Gettleman. Not only that, but they traded back again in the second round, and they got a first-round player in Azeez Ojulari, and then they traded up to get Aaron Robinson. Those are 3 absolutely outstanding moves. Then they got Elton Smith in the 4th round. I absolutely love this draft. I thought it was a fantastic draft for the Giants. Like, I'm just blown away by how good this draft was. Maybe I could have gone with offensive line, but like, that's not even that big of a deal. I thought this was a great draft. I absolutely love this. In my opinion, it is the best draft out of the 2021. I thought it was absolutely outstanding. Like, I just really could never get over that Kadarius Toney move, just because I thought it was perfect. You move back 10 spots, get an extra first next year, get some more mid-round picks, and a top 5 receiver. What else more could you ask for? Jets also had a very good draft. They're going to be going in the A tier. Got their future quarterback in Zach Wilson. Got him some protection in Elijah Vera Tucker. Got him a weapon in Elijah Moore. They thought Michael Carter was so nice, they drafted him twice. Although the other Michael Carter is a cornerback, but Michael Carter, the running back of North Carolina, could probably be the starting running back on that team. They have some garbage running backs. Jermaine Sherwood, Michael Carter the second, who I just mentioned, and Jason Pinnock are all probably going to end up starting in the secondary. If they had gotten a little better secondary pieces, maybe this could have gone into S tier, but I thought Joe Douglas had a pretty good draft here for the New York Jets. But yeah, this was just a really solid draft, and they used their picks to a pretty good advantage. But yeah, Jets going with the A tier here for 2021. My team, the Eagles, are next. I'm going to be ignore the fact that I have 2 Eagles logos down here. That's a mistake. I'm going to be putting the Eagles in the B tier. Now, I love the trade for Devonta Smith. Automatically becomes the best pass catcher on that team. Round 2, the Landon Dickerson pick, that's a classic Howie pick. Like, good intention, maybe not the best player. Now, Landon Dickerson is an absolute stud of an offensive lineman if he's healthy. He's had a lot of injury concerns, a couple of torn ACLs. But if he's healthy, he can definitely become the successor to Jason Kelce. I really wanted them to get that. I really thought that they had to come out of this draft with someone being able to replace Jason Kelce in the near future. I personally wanted to go with Creed Humphrey. They went with Dickerson. I really can't be mad at the pick, though. And just when you thought Howie was finally going to start getting some more SEC players, dips into the Conference USA pool, gets Milton Williams out of Louisiana Tech. I thought it was nice. They really bulked up their defensive line. They got Milton Williams. They got Marlon Tulia-Piloto. They got Teron Jackson, and they also got Patrick Johnson. Really bulking up that defensive line. I thought Zach McPherson was a good pick in the 4th round. They actually thought about trading up for him in the 3rd round to get him. Kenneth Gainwell was an absolute steal in the 5th round. They definitely need some running back depth, considering that Miles Sanders had a little bit of injury concern last year. And you could also use Gainwell as kind of that receiving back. And I thought Jacoby Stevens was a nice pickup in the 6th round as kind of like that safety linebacker hybrid. But had they gone with a better player at 37, had they gone with Creed Humphrey 37, and had they gotten another corner, this probably would have been an A-tier draft. But as an Eagles fan, I can definitely say I'm satisfied with this draft. I like the moves Howie Roseman did. And yeah, not only that, but they got an extra 5th next year. And then they also have a lot of picks next year. So they're definitely, hopefully, setting themselves up for success. Steelers are next. They're going into C tier. Honestly, this is borderline D tier. This was a bad draft. I did not understand drafting Najee Harris when you do not have an offensive line in front of him. Do not understand at all why you drafted Pat Freiermuth. You finally decided to go offensive line in the 3rd and 4th round, but at that point, it's too late. Like, you needed someone to replace Marquise Pouncey. He is a Hall of Fame center. You're going to have Kendrick Green, a third round rookie, replacing him. Why? You need a 1st round talent to replace Marquise Pouncey. They got Dan Moore, who's probably going to replace Alejandro Villanueva. Got some linebacker help. Got Quincy Roche, who can probably end up replacing Bud Dupree. They got the best punter in the draft, and Presley Harvin III. Got some safety help. Got some defensive line help. But yeah, this was just a bad draft. I did not understand drafting Najee Harris when you don't have an offensive line. Like, makes no sense. 49ers are next. They're going to be going in the B tier. Now, this probably would have been A tier had they addressed corner a little early on. Maybe if they got corner in the second round as opposed in the third round. But even then, Ambry Thomas isn't that bad of a pick. They also got Deomadre Lenar out of Oregon. That's a pretty cool name. But yeah, they end up going with Trey Lance, which isn't a bad pick. I honestly thought that Mac Jones is a better scheme fit there, but Trey Lance, I feel like, can still run the offense to a really good length, and he is a very talented quarterback. I love the Trey Sermon pick. He's going to be a great power back in this league, and just they can continue doing that heavy run offense that they've been known for. The Aaron Banks pick still wasn't a bad pick. They definitely did need some offensive line help. I'd probably just would have gone with a corner at number 40 and then an offensive lineman at 102. But I thought they had a pretty solid draft. Had they flopped, like I said, had they got a corner second round, definitely would have gone in the A tier. The rivals, the Seahawks, going in the C tier. It's hard to have a good draft when you only have 3 picks. Dwayne Eskridge, I thought, was one of the most underrated players in this draft. He ended up going to the Seahawks. Don't really know why they took him. They did take a corner in Trey Brown out of Oklahoma, and then they got some offensive line help in Stone Forsythe out of Florida. You know, corner and offensive line were their biggest needs, but like I said, this is mainly because they only had 3 picks. It's hard to have a good draft unless they got like absolute steals of players. They weren't going to get anything above C, honestly. Buccaneers are next. They're going to be going in the B tier. So I like the Joe Tryon pick. They did need some edge help. You know, he's probably the best edge rusher on the board. I'm honestly fine with the Kyle Trask pick. I am going to excuse me, I can't talk. I'm going to be releasing a video soon on if Kyle Trask could possibly be the next quarterback in Tampa Bay after Tom Brady eventually leaves. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel and you have post notifications turned on. But yeah, they really retained all 22 starters from the previous year, which gave them a good bit of leeway in this draft. So that's why they're able to get an edge rusher who can probably be a rotational piece this year and then move into a starting role next year. That's why they were able to get a quarterback who can learn under Tom Brady for a couple years. They got an interior offensive lineman in Robert Hainsley out of Notre Dame. Got a wide receiver in Jalen Darden. Got a nice linebacker actually in KJ Britt. I actually really like that pick. But yeah, it was a solid B tier draft for them. They didn't really have any holes to fill, and they also had the last picks in each round because they won the Super Bowl. So a little hard for them to have a good draft under those circumstances. But yeah, I actually thought it was hard for them to have a great draft. This was a good draft, excuse me. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this draft. I like it. And yeah, make sure you stay tuned for that Kyle Trask video, which will be coming soon. Titans, I'm going to be putting in the A tier. Caleb Farley somehow fell to them. Great pick. Dylan Radon was there in the second round. Great pick. Monty Rice, great pick. They got slot corner Elijah Molden. Those first 4 picks were great. Even their first 5 picks. They got Des Fitzpatrick out of Louisville. Probably going to be the Corey Davis replacement. I thought this was a great draft for Tennessee. Able to address their needs. They really need a cornerback. They got some offensive line help. They needed a replacement for Corey Davis. They got all of those. I thought this was a great draft. And yeah, that's what's going in the A tier. To finish things off, Washington, they will be going in the A tier also. So, I actually do like the Jamin Davis pick. People are surprised, but if you trust Ron Rivera, then you'll trust this pick. Samuel Cosme, great pick. Get some awesome offensive line help. This could have been S tier had they gotten a quarterback, but they didn't. Benjamin St. Juste, some nice corner help. Diami Brown, that just helped solidify the offense even more. And then they got some nice depth. They got Shaq Atoni out of Penn State in the 7th round. I thought that was a little bit of a steal. Probably should have won in like the 5th or 6th round. But yeah, that was a great draft by Washington. And that'll do it for this video. That's my draft tier list rankings. Remember, they're not ranked individually in the tiers. They're just, there. I just did this in alphabetical order. But yeah, thank you all for watching. If you liked the video, make sure you hit the like button. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and you turn on post notifications. And then check out some of my other social medias linked in the description below. I have TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all those fun stuff. I post some awesome content under there. I actually should start posting to Instagram a little bit more. But yeah, hopefully, let me know what you think about this tier list. I thought it's pretty fair ranking. Comment down below if you agree with me, disagree with me. Just let me know. But yeah, once again, thank you all for watching. And I hope you all have a fantastic day.